I'm Larry Jordan, founder and president of Wi-Tronix.
I'm Ed Harris, director, Duos Technology, Jacksonville, Florida.
I'm John Scheib, former Executive Vice President and Chief Strategy Officer at Norfolk Southern Corporation, and currently a practicing rail regulatory lawyer.
Having conversations with all opinions is the only way to move our industry forward. This is Disruptive Debates. Rail has been automating over the last century. What will the next decade look like as the promise of technology and automation is before us? How do we balance safety and efficiency with the needs of our labor force? Let's debate. So John, how do we balance the opportunity for automation and the efficiency that brings us with the needs for labor protection?
Automation can come in a lot of different forms. The first one that we all think of is 0 to 0 train start, from start to stop, the train being automated. And certainly technology is evolving to that point in more sophisticated environments like highways. Remember, rail is a dedicated right-of-way, unlike a highway. That said, there's lots of other forms of automation that are going to come into play. And I think the way we balance it is we think about what is it that the crew needs to do as they operate a train, and what are the things that can be automated, what are the things that are not going to be automated, and how are we going to use those people differently. So certain jobs on a railroad certainly will have the opportunity to move to automation, but there's still going to be a need for people to deal with broken knuckles, broken air hoses, and those type of incidents. So the balance really is going to be between what can be automated and how do we use those people in a different way to supplement the activities on the railroad, make sure they're safe, and make sure freight keeps moving.
Ed, how would you like to respond?
Well, I think automation or autonomous train operations, that means nobody's in the cab of a locomotive, is not the way this industry needs to go. I've seen autonomous train operations in Australia, and what happens when the train gets into the yard? Their crew has to get on it to do the switching, to do the spotting, to do the work that needs to be done. Are you really saving that much waiting to queue everything up to run autonomously as they do on some of the private carriers in Australia? I don't think you are. And in agreement with labor, believe it or not, I would say 2 men in a cab is the safest way to go, especially on the right-of-way or on the long haul runs. You have the opportunity to take that man or take that second man out of the cab, maybe in yard and local or industry service, but not on the right-of-way, not where PTC is involved, not where you're traveling at 65 miles an hour.
So there's a lot of distance between where we are today from a technology perspective and full automation, a lot of augmentation of performance. Ed, talk to us a little bit about some of your feelings on the broader adoption of technology and automation to augment our rail labor force.
I can give you 2 or 3 examples that are in use today as far as automation, automated track inspections, where the technology today allows us to enter all the geometry measurements of a track that run behind the locomotives of an intermodal train that covers 10 times the amount that a manual inspection can do, and it's continuous. Every main track, every foot is daily inspected, hourly inspected, minute-to-minute inspection by this type of technology. In addition to that, automated car inspections are being done, where the car is actually being photographed through different portals where a defect, a missing component, a safety component is either bent, missing, broken, that can be picked up and be delivered to the nearest repair facility for immediate set out and repair.
All right, John, what are your thoughts on the topic?
Those are great examples. Automation does not necessarily mean autonomy. I think that's an important point. If you look even at intermodal terminals, we have automation of intermodal terminals where boxes are constantly being stacked and restacked to get in the proper position to make the terminals more efficient and move freight in and out of rail terminals. We have inspection of the boxes that's being done in an automated fashion. As we evolve, you're going to see that the video taken on the front end of the locomotive will allow us to do automated observations of the environment in which the train is operating that can allow for adjustments on the train. So there's a lot to this topic, and certainly the opportunity is there to have better, safer, more efficient freight movements using automation, particularly if we can, as an industry, work with our regulator to allow the technology to have the maximum benefit with amendments to the regulatory regime.
Let's open it up and talk about where this topic is taking the industry overall.
When you had a fireman that actually sat on an engine, did absolutely nothing because of a labor agreement that went on for years that you don't have today, right? It takes that long to make a major change in the crew consist agreement to even go to a single man crew. Is it the best thing for the industry? What do you do in the interim? I mean, there's a lot of unanswered questions.
In addition to Ed's point about how long it takes to implement a labor agreement that would address those types of issues, there's also societal acceptance. And so I think about the fact that I get on an airplane that's practically fully automated, but we still have two people in the cockpit. And so there is a societal acceptance and a perception that the human is necessary in a way that maybe is not borne out by the data, but certainly that perception persists across multi-modes of transportation.
It's a very good point. Never even thought of that.
Yep. The debate does not end there. We'd love to hear your perspective in the comments below. Join us next time on Disruptive Debates. We'll be talking about how the rail industry can help drive society towards a carbon-free future.